Doreen Granpeesheh is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. So the starting topic this morning is tantrums.
Great.
Which I know everybody is,
Really common, yeah.
Yeah. And our first question this morning is, help, how do I deal with my son's tantrums? I feel like no matter what I do, it's wrong in someone's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm terrified to go out anymore because I'm afraid he will have a tantrum and I won't be able to know what to do.
Yeah.
Which I think is a lot of how we've all felt. I felt that way on a certain day, yeah.
Yeah. And I often, right now I'm trying to write some stuff about how to deal with challenging behaviors. Yeah. And I don't know, for parents, and I love the feedback and the opportunity actually right now to ask a lot of parents, I don't know if it's, on the one hand, I think a lot of parents just want to know right away, like, if I have a tantrum, how do I deal with that?
Yeah.
On the other hand, I know a lot of parents just in general want to know, like, what is the basis of dealing with all challenging behaviors,
yes.
right? And
yes.
I don't know which one is easier to explain. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But so I'll try to kind of give a little bit of a general answer, which will help with not just tantrums, but might help also with, in general, any behavior that is challenging, any behavior, period, right? So it starts with the idea of everything we do has a purpose. So when our child tantrums, it's our job to try to figure out what the purpose is. And in ABA lingo, we call that the function. And it doesn't mean anything other than the purpose, the reason. Why is the child doing that? And often when we do something, the purpose of it is because we're trying to communicate something, right? So you might have that toy, and I might want that toy. Mm-hmm. Now, in order to get that toy, I might hit you, I might grab it, I might run up to mom and cry, whatever behavior I have, all of those behaviors are not acceptable really, except for me asking you nicely and waiting for you to share it. So there's always an appropriate way to get what we want, and then a whole bunch of not acceptable ways, right? And that's true of everyone. It's not just our kids, it's true of us, right? If we want, let's say, more attention from our spouse, we might do a bunch of non-adaptive things, like, I don't know, throw a fit at home, demand their time, be rude, but whatever. Or we might ask in a very good adaptive fashion. So our job is to figure out when our kids do a certain behavior, why are they doing it? And I always like to use the easier way for parents, I think, is to say, if they had really good language and they had already learned this, what would they be communicating instead of throwing the tantrum? What would they be saying? And it is always going to be some expression of something they want or don't want. That's always the case, believe me. So it's always going to be, I want some object, I want some activity, I want some food, I want your attention, I want what he has, I want something.
I want to go to the bathroom.
I want to go to the bathroom. I want medication because I have pain, whatever.
I want a break.
I want a break. I want a break starts us into the category of stuff I don't want, which is I don't want to work anymore.
Right.
I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to have to answer your question. I don't want to pay attention. I don't want to stop self-stimulating. I don't want, so it's always something I want or I don't want, okay? And the hard part is not dealing with the tantrum. The hard part is figuring out what is it they're trying to communicate. Yeah. That's the hard part. Getting that function right is so vital. And that's what all of ABA is about. With ABA, you figure out what it is they want or don't want, and then you teach them to use a more adaptive, functional, appropriate way of requesting that thing. And you do not allow the non-adaptive, challenging way to win. It's really that simple. So when your child tantrums, whatever you figure out, first of all, what they want. And by the way, every tantrum is going to be a different thing. So the thing about it is that when our kids tantrum and they get, in one scenario, they get what they want. So for instance, you try to get your child to hurry up and get ready and it's time to go out, and they have a tantrum, and by tantruming, getting ready and going out is delayed, right? So they get to avoid. So if they could talk, they would have said, I don't want to go out. I just want to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so by tantruming, they've accomplished that. Now, in their system, in their mind, that tantrum becomes a powerful communicator. So now they've learned, from now on, when I don't want something, I will tantrum.
Yeah.
And it's going to work. So be careful, because every single time that your child tantrums, it could have a different function. So they could be wanting to not go out. They could be wanting to continue playing with this toy. They could tantrum because they're trying to get your attention because you haven't been attending to them. They could tantrum because they don't want to go to school, whatever it is, right? Once you've figured out that function, now the key part of it is to not allow them to receive that thing when they tantrum, but to allow them to receive that thing that they wanted when they ask in a more appropriate way. And so that means if I'm tantruming because I don't want to go to school, sorry, I'm going to get you ready and take you to school anyway. But if you say, Mom, I really don't want to go to school today, then I will probably maybe give you a break or maybe go with you or I will respond to what it is that you really want if you ask for it nicely. So I'm going to now take that down to the level of, let's say, a child who's not able to communicate really well, right? So let's say a young child, a 3-year-old, can't really say, I want that toy you have right now. So they're hitting you to grab that toy, or they're having a tantrum because they couldn't have that toy. Now, it's for us, what we do as behaviorists is if they're tantruming and we know it's because they want that toy, we do not give the toy when the child is tantruming. Instead, we will prompt the child to say toy, or to point to the picture of a toy, or even for non-vocal children, to somehow indicate in a more appropriate way that that's what they want. And whenever they do the more appropriate behavior, they get a lot of kudos, they get the toy, they get a break, they get all kinds of goodies. And whenever they communicate in a non-appropriate way or in a challenging way, they do not get what it is they were asking for. And that applies to pretty much everything. Yeah. I want a break. If they ask for just a break, if they point to a icon of a break, any appropriate way of asking for a break, they get a break. But if they're tantruming and throwing a fit and all that sort of stuff, no, you continue to work through it. You just continue to work until the tantrum subsides and the child says break, and then you can give them a break. So that's how you deal with tantrums. Now, in this particular case, I think the parent said, whenever we go out. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so you have to figure out what it is about going out. It could be so many different things. It could be the place you're going, that the child doesn't want to go to that place, which, by the way, it's not like you always will have to avoid that place. It's just that you need to better prepare your child for going to that place. It could be they don't want to go in the car. They don't like the car. It could be they don't want to get ready. It could be they don't want to give up what it is they're giving up in order to go out. It could be a million different things, but you have to figure that out. Without figuring that out, you're not going to know what it is. It could also be that they're fine until you get to the place. So it's not really about going out. It's about something in that place. So it could be overwhelming because it's too noisy. It's too stimulating, and there's too many people, there's lights and sounds. You think about what it is. That's the key to figuring out how to deal with it.
Don't forget, you can watch Ask Dr. Doreen live every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We hope to see you there.